We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. Hi, my name is Chris Wilson, and you're listening to the #1 Strength and Health Authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life with today's expert.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, it is Coach Brian Klepacki with the Strong by Design podcast, and I have a special guest today, friend Alby Gonzalez. He is a coach. He is a local Floridian, somewhat local to us, I guess, right around the corner.
Orlando, Florida, like a 2-hour drive, roughly.
So not too bad. And he is a friend of ours, and he is going to unload everything about isometric training within this podcast. So hold on and get ready for some awesome training advice from the isometric training coach. All right, Alby, so isometric training, that's your forte. It's not the only thing you do, but that's something that's passionate for you, and that's something you've been practicing for a long time now. So tell me your background. I know you've got 5 kids, and that's got to be,
right.
We're going to talk about that a little later, but give the audience a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Well, let's talk about when I first started getting into training and why, because everybody has their reasoning why they want to get into weight training, right? For me, it was something that I knew I was going to do at a small age. Growing up, I was born in 83, so I was kind of like a 80s baby, but kid 90s. And the biggest things in those times were, action heroes, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bruce Lee, Arnold, and of course, pro wrestling. So growing up as a kid, I knew I was going to work out. I knew I was going to train. I knew I was going to gain size, but I also wanted to, do martial arts and things like that. So the first thing I got into was doing capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial arts, where it's kind of like dancing. I was influenced by the movie Only the Strong. Great movie if you guys haven't seen that. And, doing that kind of tied into jujitsu. And then, a little bit of wrestling here and there. And the first thing that I figured that I started learning was that I was really good at it, really athletic, but I was having issues because I was always a smaller guy. At 5'6", I was like 120 pounds.
Yeah, so that's small.
Yeah, very small guy with a lot of heart. So I just told myself, you know what, I just got to get bigger and stronger. So I started lifting weights, and I started getting bigger and stronger. But when I went back to doing jujitsu, one of the things that I noticed this is probably like 2 years later, I went up to about 130. So it was a big difference for my body because I was already a smaller guy. But since I focus a lot of weight training, I became a lot slower. Even though I was stronger now, I was a lot slower. My cardio was not as good, and my muscle endurance wasn't as I realized that once I would put people in like rear naked chokes or arm bars and things like that, the fatigue, I just got fatigued a lot faster than normal. And that was because I really stopped doing what I was doing originally before I started doing weight training, which was isometrics.
Mm-hmm. So to clear the air, when we talk weight training, we're talking pretty much bro workouts.
Yeah, bro workouts, Arnold style, right. Bodybuilding.com and type training.
I grew up the same way. I always involved with wrestling. I never really got into martial arts, but I have a, deep respect for anybody who practices martial arts. But when I was working out in high school, after school, I just wanted pretty much nice pecs, a 6-pack, and maybe some nice biceps.
Yep.
So the only way to get that is bench press, arm curls, and sit-ups. And I was doing that all the time. But like you just said, to me, that's not weight training. That's bro workouts. That's just wanting to focus on those 3 muscle groups in order to look good. But then it wasn't until, almost a decade later where I actually learned, okay, there's a whole world of training out there, not just doing, bench press and some arm curls. So tell more about what you do now, looking back, and the mistakes that you made and how it's evolved into more, isometric functional strength.
We went through the mistakes, and we would probably be here for a few months talking about those. But the biggest mistakes were, again, the bro workouts, just doing these bodybuilding splits, eating tons of calories, not counting my macros, not stretching, things like that. When I was younger, it was real easy for me to get away with things like that, to, I guess you can say, overtrain, maxing out, every week and things like that, because, you're young, your body's producing enough testosterone and all that. But as you get older, you start realizing your testosterone levels are lower. You start getting those joint pains from all the years of heavy lifting. Your back starts to hurt. And that's when you really need to start taking care of your body, because, it's not going to get any better from there.
Hey, if you want the free 7 Worst Testosterone Killers report, then just text TESTO to 345-345. That's TESTO, TESTO, to 345-345. And you'll get a text from me asking for your email. And then you'll get the free report sent to your email inbox. Let's dive in.
Yeah, and you talk more about this in your ebook called Isometric Mass, because you wanted to combine the best of both worlds, good quality training that results in strength gains, but also mass gains, while keeping the body nimble, keeping, good size on you, but actually having a good, healthy body. So again, your book is called Isometric Mass.
Right.
It's a great book, by the way, and we're going to plug it in all throughout this podcast. But in creating this ebook, you took all of your information, all of your mistakes, and you pretty much gave it to, again, if you're the only one thinking this way, first of all, you're not, because every guy that's in their 30s, starting to get, into a steady career, kids are growing up. We're getting older.
Oh yeah.
I think I'll be 30. I'll be 34 this year, and I'm starting to feel the effects of everything that I've done up until this point. And I can't just go out, and I'm training for a marathon. I can't just go out and run like I used to in college. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm getting old. And
oh yeah, and to you young guys out there that are listening to this, let me tell you, it creeps on you. It feels like one day after the next. Like one day I'm killing it, and then like it literally feels like the next day, all of a sudden, I'm just not me again. I'm just not me.
And so for the generation that doesn't understand what a dad bod is, that's something that all men will either have, they'll either have it or they don't. And unfortunately for us, we don't, because we actually take care of our bodies.
Right.
And that's what our hopes is for you as well listening. So Isometric Mass, this book, is geared for pretty much guys like us, men that are over the age of 30, looking to stay healthy, to keep their testosterone levels up. But also, not only that, because you, as a father of 5, you don't have time.
No, absolutely
I'm
not.
a father of 2, and I don't have time. I couldn't imagine what it's like with having 5 kids. But within this book, you talk about 3 barriers, which you touched on a few minutes ago. Go more into the barriers that men commonly face as we get older.
Right. So the first one is, loss of testosterone. You can help yourself, by eating healthier and things like that. And there are foods out there like healthy fats, they can help you. But at the end of the day, we're human beings. And, once you start reaching a certain age, like testosterone is going to go down. You can't stop that. You have to understand your body and work to help your body overcome these things. Like I cannot perform the same workouts that I was doing when I was in my 20s. I would do martial arts, go lift weights, come back, do martial arts. I can't do that anymore. So I had to be more efficient with my workouts. It's like an MMA fighter. As they get older, they start fighting more with game plan rather than, their ability or their skill.
Brute force.
Yeah, brute force, because you just have to be smarter about it. The other one is, injuries. As you get older, your joints are not the same. Your body's not the same. It takes a lot longer to recover from your workouts. And when you're younger, that ties to lower testosterone. And then the other thing is everyday life, family, your kids, work, things like that. I believe, my thing is everybody has 24 hours in a day. It's what you prioritize that you get done. So, for me, working out and staying healthy, I knew that if I wanted to live a good quality of life, no matter, I had to stay active.
Yeah. So your book, Isometric Mass, crushes those barriers.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things where you know what the barriers are and you have solutions for those barriers. And these barriers aren't going to go away by themselves. You have to proactively attack them, and you have to have something in place that is proven to work. I mean, you're not the first person to, and you haven't invented isometric
No, I did
training.
not. This is not something that I invented. I will say that the good thing about the book is you're listening to my story, because I start off as, at a young age as training. So I was able to go, real hard, and then life, I started training when I was about 17, and I'm 34 now. I'm going to be 35. So, I've gone not only through a physical change, but also a mental change, in the sense that as my body changes, my routines have to change. Mm-hmm. And over time, I found that isometrics is what's extremely beneficial for guys, especially when you're getting up in age, because you're not destroying your body with this heavy lifting constantly and maxing out. And also for young guys, it's beneficial because you're not taxing your body as hard. Therefore, you're going to have more longevity in this game.
Right. And isometric training, I love isometric training. And we're going to go into the different types here in just a moment. But isometric training it's pretty much for everybody.
Right.
It's not my opinion, but it is voted like the safest form of exercise, maybe aside from swimming.
I'm sure people in the nursing homes do isometrics. I mean, you should.
Yeah, everybody should in some form, way or another. But if you're truly wanting to, boost testosterone, keep injuries away from you, but also to maximize the time and the efficiency of your workout, isometric training done in the way that you present it in this book is the way to maintaining good strength, size, and just pretty much function of the body. So let's talk more about isometric training for those who don't know. So there's a couple different forms of isometric training, and just quickly give us, a few minutes worth of isometric training and what that actually looks like.
Yeah. So you have overcoming isometrics and yielding. Overcoming is when you're trying to, for example, if you're pushing against a wall, like an unmovable object, and you're contracting the muscle that way and keeping it in place. Yielding isometrics is what I like to do, because you can measure your progress, because you're able to use free weights when you're doing these. The thing that I love about isometrics is you're basically, when you're contracting the muscle as hard as you can in a still position, you're like recruiting as many muscle fibers as you would, almost as you would by performing like a compound lift. Mm-hmm. But you're not putting your body and your joints through the stress of, let's say, maybe a deadlift or something like that. Now, of course, you're not going to be able to recruit as many as a deadlift, but as far as injury and things like that, there's less chance of you getting injured or putting any wear and tear on your body, and you're still building muscle and strength.
Absolutely. And that's one of the best reasons why you should be doing isometric training. Even if you're a beginner, never exercised before a day in your life, isometric training is a great place to start. But tell the audience how beneficial it is and how it increases, muscular growth for those who have been working out for 10, 15, 20 years that would be considered more advanced individuals.
Well, with isometrics, since you're able to recruit more muscle fiber, that's going to promote more growth. But for people who've been working out for a long time, one of the things you've probably already have noticed, if you haven't been doing isometrics and you've been doing, the bro splits like I have, is, joint pains and shoulder pain and things like that, where with isometrics, since you're using a lot of contractions and still positions, and you're not really using these heavy weights, they're putting all this strain on your joints, that joint pain is going to go away. And one mistake that I've had a lot of my clients do in the past is that they take painkillers when they have these injuries, and they end up having to get surgery. And it's because, rather than fixing the root of the problem, they're just masking the pain with these prescription drugs.
Right.
Where if you were to do something like isometrics and kind of veer away from these heavy weights, you can help build your tendons and your strength in that area. That way you don't even have these tears where you have to go get surgery.
Right. So you growing up doing martial arts, how effective is isometric training for not just martial arts, but like in sports in general? And I know you just said, less wear and tear on the body, but from your personal experience, how has isometric training given you a whole new way of performing, martial arts and sports?
So in jiu-jitsu, or anybody who's familiar with jiu-jitsu, a lot of the positions, like when you put somebody in a rear naked choke or anything like that, you use kind of like an isometric hold, because you're not moving the muscle too much. You're kind of contracting in a still position. A lot of professional fighters like George St. Pierre, Conor McGregor, they use isometrics because it helps with that. Where if you use weights and you only use weights, you're going to get faster lactic acid buildup, which is going to cause you to be fatigued faster. You're not going to be able to hold those positions as long as somebody who's specifically trained in those positions as an isometric hold.
Right. So if you want to train like a cage fighter.
Right. If you want to train like a cage fighter,
you might have to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you have to do a little bit of everything. But, just for you guys who are familiar, let's say you have somebody in a side mount, right? Usually in that position, when you have somebody in a side mount, it's kind of like a contraction. You're laying on them. You're trying to wait for them to either make a move so you can advance your position, but you're holding an isometric hold when you really think about it, because you're not really trying to use your strength to pick them up. You're trying to use momentum. But if you only did weights, let's say, for example, your body's not going to be used to that type of hold. So you're going to, build a lot of lactic acid and you're going to fatigue faster.
Right. And we're not bashing, what we call weight training nowadays. We're not bashing that by any means. It has so many good benefits, but we're just really wanted to just share the information about isometric training and the benefits that it has.
Looking to win some free Critical Bench gear? Here's how. Just write an awesome 5-star review on iTunes for the Strong by Design podcast. We'll post the winners on Instagram. Just go to @thecriticalbench and watch our podcast highlight story to see all the winners each week. Be sure to DM us to get your free gifts.
So let's say you're not a fighter. Let's say you're, a middle-aged woman who doesn't like lifting weights, because we've talked about weightlifting a lot lately. So you're maybe brand new to exercise and you're intimidated by the gym. Isometrics can be your go-to because you can do a body weight, you can do it at home. So tell our audience a little bit more about your program and the isometric body weight component of it.
Yeah, so the body weight component basically is you're not using any weight. It consists of things like push-ups into an isometric hold, pull-ups into an isometric hold. You can also do biceps. You're not curling an object, like a weight, but you're standing like in an isometric hold where you're flexing your biceps as hard as possible to help that contraction, and it helps recruit more muscle fibers, and things like that. So you don't need a gym to do isometrics.
Right. But no, it's funny because we've been saying isometric is, for all levels. However, it can become very complicated.
Oh, absolutely. It's not something that you're going to probably do it the first time and it's going to be 100% correct.
Right.
It's definitely something that you have to try over and over until you have it down. Because remember, when you're doing an isometric hold, the goal that you're trying to do is to recruit as many muscle fibers as possible. So yeah, it actually does take focus, because, you want to make sure you're recruiting the right muscle fibers. For example, if you're doing a pull-up, a lot of times when you have a beginner, when they first start doing pull-ups, what happens? Their biceps get extremely sore because their body hasn't learned what muscle fibers and things like that to fire off. Where a more experienced lifter or somebody who's been training a little bit longer, their back will get sore because they know how to negate the energy to go straight to the back rather than your smaller muscle group, the biceps.
Right. So this book, you pretty much paint a clear picture for them on how to use isometrics, when to use them, what style, and you also include modifications if needed.
Right, and video tutorials along with me explaining each exercise in detail, how to perform it.
Right. Yeah, and I've done isometric training. I've done that, for a long time now. And I will warn you, it's not easy.
No.
It can be, but you can also make it the most challenging thing you've ever done possible. Think about yoga. We were just talking about this a little bit ago. And we were joking around. I was like, what are some of the hardest isometric exercises? And you said
some yoga poses. I don't even know the names of these things.
Yeah, we've been doing yoga here at the compound with Zach. And some of the poses, it's isometric training. My triceps are starting to shake. You know, my hips are dropping, my chin is dropping, because I need to hold my body in these positions for a set amount of time. Now, again, your program is not, it's for all beginners, intermediate, advanced. But the main thing is the format that you've created within this is called what do you call it? The max static stimulation set.
Right.
Okay. So that's something that's definitely going to transform the body. Talk more about that and why your isometric mass program with that component is more beneficial than just, just any type of isometric workout. Yeah.
So most isometric workouts, it's just straight isometrics, little to no weights or anything like that. Now, I love lifting weights. It's something that I just love to do, but I just know that I cannot be maxing out every week. I can't tax my body like that anymore. But with the way that I do my isometrics is I still incorporate weights. My first set is like a warm-up set, getting the mind and muscle connection ready, to let the body know this is the movement we're going to be doing. And then the second set is regular set into an isometric hold. So I combine both. And then the third set would be like a burnout set. Now that I'm already pretty much burned out from the isometric hold, because that is the goal, because you're trying to be time efficient about it as well.
Right.
Now I'm just, going to failure, basically. So I can't perform the set anymore with correct form.
Got it.
So it's a combination of both.
So yeah, and that's one of the mistakes that people tend to make, is going through the same workout all the time.
Right.
So your program, pretty much corrects that mistake.
Yes.
What other mistakes you talk about? The deadliest mistakes people generally make when it comes to working out, and I know some of these are extremely common sense.
Right.
But it's, to me, common sense. It might not be someone else's common sense.
Right. Yeah.
So, in short, give us the workout mistakes that anybody should not be making.
Yeah. So I have a few here, but one of them is maxing out. One thing is, I always talk to, especially younger guys, with powerlifting and CrossFit and things like that. They're maxing out on a daily basis. The thing is, when you're maxing out, you're putting your body through so much stress. It is, so hard for your body to recover one day from the next from that, So that's one of the biggest mistakes people are doing. They'll max out daily, and then they'll say like, oh, my numbers are not going up, or I feel so tired and so weak. And it's because you're just not getting the proper rest. You're taxing your body too much. The other one is bad technique. And this all ties in together, when you fatigue your body like that, and you're still trying to push these heavy weights to get that same feeling, what's going to happen? You're going to go into bad technique, which can lead into injury. You get injured, now you can't train. The depression sets in because now you don't look the same. And,
it just goes downhill.
Yeah, it just goes downhill from there. Another big thing is skipping warm-ups. And this is something that I used to do all the time when I was younger. Is just skip my workouts, go right into a working set. Man, as time went on, I realized like, hey, I can't be doing this. This is how you tear stuff. A great example, a good story is one time is I used to warm up with 225, which is a lot because I weigh 165, but it was my warm-up. Now, I would be able to do it, easily about 15 reps. One day I get on the bench, just like any normal day. I go, all of a sudden I feel my pec kind of tighten up. I immediately racked the weights, and I knew that if I would have kept going, I would have tore my pectoral.
Right. Yeah.
And again, this is something that I would do day in and day out. But mentally I was able to do it. My muscle was able to do it, but my tendon and things like that, sometimes they can't keep up. The other thing is training alone. Some people, they risk being injured all the time because they're going too heavy with bad form and they're training alone, so they don't have a spotter. I personally don't use a spotter, but I've been training for a long time.
Right.
So I know my limits to a certain extent. I never lift weight that I know that I might need a spotter for,
And I would even add training with bad information.
Oh yeah,
because I mean,
there's tons of it online.
Yeah, and you've got a YouTube channel. I want to plug in there, Alby Gonzalez Fitness.
Right.
Go on YouTube.
Over 300 workout videos and tips there. So
yeah, and anyways, long story short, just make sure that if you are training alone, make sure you have good training advice, and obviously your program is top notch, and it gives you pretty much walking with somebody as far as instructional videos on how to execute exercises and how to do things properly, because you can screw up isometric training.
Right.
If you're not warmed up properly, like you just said.
Especially when you're doing yielding, which you're incorporating weights, because you are holding a static hold. So you can, if you're doing it wrong, you could tear something.
Right.
So you do have to be careful. It's something that you should start off with lighter weight and, ease into it.
Yeah. Any other mistakes that people usually make? I mean, we can sit here all day and we can probably go to 100 things, but
ego lifting,
yeah.
I see that all the time in the gym and
bro workouts.
Yeah, bro workouts and breaking form and things like that. The thing is this, like if you're loading the bar up with weight and you're jerking and, using bad form, you're getting less of a workout than if you were to use less weight, and focusing on the stretch and contraction.
Just got to do it right.
Right.
And that's why I love isometric training, because it eliminates a lot of the mistakes you probably would make if you didn't have an expert knowledge. Because, isometric training, it's either you're probably going to fail, but it's in a sense, it's controlled failure.
It's controlled failure, correct. So you don't have to worry about, you're lifting bar with, 315 by yourself.
Right.
And your muscle, your pectoral gives out, and now this comes down on your chest, and now you're out for, who knows how long.
Yeah. So if you want more information on his ebook, the website is Isometrics.
Isometricsmass.com.
Cool. And we're going to put a link in the description here, and you can easily get that problem. But you're also on YouTube, like I just said, Alby Gonzalez Fitness. Yep. You're also on Instagram too. I love your Instagram page.
Thank you.
It's got some great content on there, all about exercise, nutrition, just general health.
Right.
Great stuff on there. And your handle is Alby Gonzalez Fitness as well. Same as Facebook.
Same as the YouTube, same as the Facebook, same as the Instagram.
Yeah, cool.
Nice and easy.
Yeah. So what are your top 5 isometric exercises?
My top 5, the first one would be incline dumbbell flies. I like that exercise because it allows me to get a good stretch and a good contraction. Pull-ups. I've always done pull-ups ever since, I can remember. That was probably like one of the first exercises that I did. Push-ups, again, back to the basics, before weights. Yeah. I keep it basic. And then
going back to the basics.
And of course, dear to my heart, and probably a lot of you guys out there, the barbell curls. Nice. The curls for the girls, get the peaks for the freaks. And then lateral raises. I like lateral raises. I like to develop my mid delts. Makes you look good in shirts.
Yeah. Get that nice wide
Spider-Man body.
Yeah. That's awesome. So again, Isometric Mass, incredible ebook. Go get it, isometricsmass.com. I think that's it. Yeah, I think we covered it all. Other than isometric training, if you've never done it before, at least be open to the idea that it's something that could radically transform your life. Not just how you look, but how you perform and how the quality of life will increase. And again, he'll attest to it, and I'll vouch for that, because isometric training is by far one of the best forms of training. But definitely his program, his book is exactly what you need to get started or take your training to the next level. Alby, appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me.
And your passion towards exercise. And that's it. Have a good day, everybody.
Hey,
we will catch you next time.
All right, man. Thank you for having me.
Hey, if you want the free 7 Worst Testosterone Killers report, then just text TESTO to 345-345. That's TESTO, TESTO, to 345-345. And you'll get a text from me asking for your email. And then you'll get the free report sent to your email inbox. Thank you for listening, and stay strong by design.